after thinking about that comment for a little bit, I realized that he was partially right. I haven't said anything really bad about Spokane, and I've said some good things, but I tend to be a pretty happy and optimistic guy. So I don't like to really focus on the bad things of a city because pretty much every city has bad things. There's no perfect city out there. Every city's got problems. Bigger the city, bigger the problems. We're not a little teeny town. We're actually in that, medium-sized city range. So he's right. There are some bad things about Spokane, and I'm going to tell you those. But the other comment about turning my channel into a commercial for my business, I would never do that. I would never turn my channel into a crass commercial for my real estate business. And I totally believe that the YouTube ecosystem is pure. I wouldn't do anything that would violate anything to do with that. So I'm going to go over what I would call the 10 things about Spokane that totally suck. Now, these are my impressions. I've been here about 4.5 years now, and these are my sort of impressions of what is bad or annoying about Spokane. I'm not going to get into a bunch of statistics to be proving things because you know what? Statistics don't really mean anything at the end of the day. You just kind of want to know the flavor, the feel of a city. So I'm going to give you those 10 things. And I'm not going to, there's no particular order I'm going to do these in. I'm just going to I have a little hat here, a little poop emoji hat, and I'm going to take the 10 things out one at a time. So they're absolutely in no particular order. Crime. So does Spokane have a crime problem? When you look at the stats for violent crime, it's a little bit lower than a big city like Seattle, but our crime rate is high. And the reason is we have a very, very high property crime rate. Breaking into cars, that kind of property crime, breaking into houses. Actually, I don't want to go into too much detail of what property crime really means, that kind of crime, because I don't exactly know. But I know we have a really big meth and other drug problem in Spokane, and that is certainly tied to that crime issue. It's certainly tied to that huge property crime issue in Spokane, and that's a real thing. For other statistics about the police department itself or what kind of crimes are going on, you can look that up. That's readily available on the internet. But I will just say that right out of the chute, I picked that one, crime. That property crime in Spokane is actually really high. All right, number 2, the second one. Set that down. Nothing to do at night. Okay, this is so true. Spokane is so boring like this at night. If you want to do anything late at night, you're stuck at a few bars, and if you want to go shopping at Walmart or Winco. And I guess you could go out to the big casino if you want to do something at 1 in the morning or at midnight. And that's really it. This town really does shut down and close maybe around 9 or 10 o'clock at night at the latest. So yeah, Spokane's really boring for that. I'm really bored here. All right, a little more. Okay, this one came from my wife. I asked her the same question. What do you not like about Spokane? And she said, I guess it kind of ties to that last one. It's bland without the big stuff. Now, we came from Denver, so you've got a lot of big things in Denver. Big city, big aquariums and zoos. But we don't have that here. There's no big zoos. There's no big aquariums. There's no big giant museums. We have the Spokane version of all that, which is very small. And it's just not big, exciting stuff. For any big things, you're just going to have to leave Spokane for that. Okay. I'll have to set this down here for that one. Okay. Okay, this was actually started out as 2, but I combined them into 1 because one of them is very personal and it's kind of illustrative of the problem. I've heard this from people that Spokane is sort of like the dumping ground for Seattle, whatever that means. But here's kind of the way it feels for me. I go to this gym in Spokane Valley. It's a big gym. And it's actually a collection of other failed gyms' equipment that they bought used, and now it's at that gym. And someone joked around to me once that gym kind of feels like what Spokane is like. It's like the secondhand store for Seattle or the dumping grounds for all the used stuff at Seattle. I can imagine the merchandisers at big retailers probably on the west side, they can't sell something. And how many times do you think you've probably heard, oh, just mark it down and send it off to Spokane? That's kind of how it feels. Oh, this one, yes, the roads. So the roads here need a lot of work. I don't know why they don't do it. I remember there was an article in one of the either our main fake news or the local weekly, about how the city would just pay for your wheel damage from hitting potholes versus actually just going and fixing the roads. It was cheaper just to repair individual damage if you were to sue the city than to bother fixing the roads. I don't know why this is a problem. This is what local government corruption is supposed to be all about. You get a council member who's got a brother-in-law with a construction company or a road company, and he needs a new pool, so he gets a contract to fix the roads. That's how it's done in other cities. I don't know why we can't get that done in this city, but it might lead to one of my other things about having an ineffectual local government. And that's what I picked. Local government is ineffectual. So, being in real estate, they have this housing action plan that they developed in the summer. Big plan. But if you read it, I did. I'm not going to go into it here. It's not a plan. They basically got hundreds of people together and wrote a high school report, threw in some statistics, and this plan is things that maybe we should do in the future. That's all it is. They're saying what the government should do when they're their government. So they wrote a plan telling us that they're telling themselves what to do in the future. Now, just today in the news, in the Spokesman Review, there was an article about accessory dwelling units. They were going to try and lower the permit fees for these from $5,000 down to, I guess, nothing. But there's so many restrictions. It has to be half a mile from where no one wants to live. Has to be owner occupied. And it impacted around 10 to 12 properties last year. So they say we've got a 26,000 unit housing shortage in this city, 26,000 housing units, and maybe they're going to do this ADU unit issue and give us, 10 to 12 more units a year? So we've gone from 26,000 to 25,988 needed houses. Way to go, guys. Way to knock that one out of the park. The Spokesman Review. So some of you might just love your local paper, but my sort of impressions of it is going to be based on the electronic edition that I look at on my phone. And I can tell you, you can do better by just going to the AP online and then just going to Facebook groups for your neighborhoods and you'll get the information. I don't know why they're trying to be Facebook. I know on the print edition there's probably more news. And to be honest with you, I do have a subscription to the print edition. My wife demanded it. It wasn't necessarily to support journalism or the community. It's because we have bunnies and it works really well on the bottom of their cage. The e-edition on my phone that I look at, I don't get it. If there wasn't Gonzaga, there wouldn't be the Spokesman Review, basically. I mean, I don't know what the owners are doing other than hoovering up all the money from the advertisers as they head for the exits, but they could do a better job. Why don't you just have each one of those columnists make a video about what they're typing out on their opinion and defend it with their voice? If people are looking at it online, fine, have the print part where people can read it, but have your people do a video because that's what people are interested in and engaged with, not necessarily old school text. Okay, this one might be kind of personal. There's no fresh seafood here. We're in Spokane. We're surrounded by lakes. I get it. Washington's 5.5 hours away. We could get fresh seafood in Denver. Why can't we get fresh seafood in Spokane? I don't know. I don't get it. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Public transportation. Boy, does this suck. My son he's in high school. He has to take public transportation. We're in a city that within 30 minutes you can drive anywhere in the city. From one end all the way to the other, anywhere you want to go, it's less than 30 minutes. The bus, oh my God. It might take you 60 minutes for what would be a 5-minute drive. It's ridiculous. It's a terrible public transportation system. I mean, it exists. It goes up and down the main corridors, but it doesn't go where you really need to go. And the drivers are pretty ridiculous. My son tells me they're slamming on the brakes all the time and just screaming at people to pull their mask up over their nose. I really don't know if that's a bus driver's job, but there's oftentimes my son can be 20, 30 minutes late because the bus driver's throwing a fit. Downtown is lame. Downtown Spokane, I've said this before in these videos, it has what you need, but it doesn't necessarily have what you want. What does that mean? There's no reason to go down there. Number one, no matter where you park, no matter how dead it is, you're going to pay for parking to go downtown and get your car broken into, to go to a restaurant you could probably go to in the suburbs with free parking and less crime. So downtown is lame, it's boring. It's a walk. There's no walk areas. We're a drive town. So you can't really walk around anywhere downtown from bar to bar to bar to bar. You're going to end up Ubering. You're going to take those stupid green scooters and get killed because you're drunk. Or you're going to hit one of them. I had seen them fly off the sidewalks right in front of my car. Anyway, one spot in downtown, right there, division is called the Bermuda Triangle. You've got some bars. Gonzaga kids go there. Right in that area, you're going to be walking around. But you're going to need to be between 20 and 30 years old for that. Other than that, you're going to drive from one area way over to another to go do wherever you're going to go, and then drive way over to go somewhere else. It's a drive town. And downtown itself, just trust me, it's boring. There's nothing going on down there. And I'll just show you. Here's a video. This is a Monday morning. I think it was on Thursday. No, it was last Tuesday at about 11 o'clock. No, this was at 9:30 in the morning. Here's some video of the action going on in our vibrant downtown. All right, I'm just going to leave it at that. Those are my 10 reasons or 10 things I don't like about Spokane. And if you still want to move here after that, it's actually a pretty good choice because there's a lot of other positives that far outweigh those negatives right there. So reach out if you want to talk more. Thanks again.